Hey there everyone, Florida Man here. Well, I'm back from my trip. I went to Lviv. I can say that now. I didn't want to tell people where I was going for a while since I was going to be downtown. Uh, I don't know if, I don't think I'm on anyone's hit list yet, but, I should probably start practicing some better security hygiene. So I started to do that, not give any away specific information where I was. So let me talk about my trip to Lviv, why I went there, what did I accomplish, and some information related to that and some other updates going on with my life. So first off, why did I go to Lviv? I have two jobs, pretty much. One job is my volunteer job, my Ukraine volunteer. I mean, it's not a job, it's like effort, my volunteer effort. It's the YouTube channel, that's with you guys, your guys' donations. It's what I use those donations for. That's to help, the military, help Ukraine towards its victory. I don't take any of your guys' donations for myself. None of your guys' donations goes to paying for my bills or my food or my lodging or whatever. That all comes out of my own pocket. And so how do I finance that? Part of that is that I saved up a good bit before I came, since I was a caregiver for a terminally ill parent for 6 years in South Florida. Didn't pay rent for 6 years, so yeah, rent here is very cheap. But obviously I did want something to kind of help get, some sort of income. So I haven't stayed in the black. And so I got a job offer a while ago, last year, or was it this year? I think it was this year, yeah, beginning of this year. And of course it was at a bar. That's how most job offers happen for me, surprisingly. Yeah, some guy showed up to the town in Vinnytsia, asked me if I wanted to go with them to check out some orphanages. He was in Ukraine to visit orphanages and see what he could do to help. And, I helped him out, did a little stuff there. Saw the kids, had a good time, and then he was like, well, I'd like someone to oversee this operation, to oversee, material supplies that he wants to bring there. And he also wants to teach people English. He wants me to find people in Ukraine who's, Ukrainians who speak English, hire them, and start setting up tutoring sessions for Ukrainians in orphanages or those in struggling households, those that need it. So pretty much I said, sure, I can give it a go. First, 2 months, I did it free of charge. I was like, yeah, I'll just drop by once a month by the place. And then we kept talking, and then he wanted to do more. I was like, all right, well, once, everything was settled and he got his donations and he started fundraising in the US. I was like, all right, I'll start getting paid. And, I don't get paid much, which is fine. I don't mind that, because whatever I get paid more is less for the kids. But it's nice, it kind of helps cover some things. And, it's nice to let the brain rest from war stuff and then kind of just, chill with kids, watch them do some, drawings and stuff. They're very simple-minded in a good way, they just want attention. They're starved for attention. So it's always fun just to see them and be able to actually see your impact firsthand when you go somewhere and see a bunch of happy kids. Do I bring them a bit too much candy each time? Yes, but we're working on that. So yeah, I went to Lviv. So basically, I'm in the volunteer networks in Ukraine. They're all there's lots of group chats, all this other stuff. So I always have my feelers out now because basically we need more places. We need to reach out to more institutions. We have the financing. We have the current one in Vinnytsia. We're doing good. We have our operation going pretty well. We're trying to expand it in several ways. But I'm looking for other things for us to do for other places. And also, I don't like being hogtied to one place. So if something happens, if something bad happens between us and the director and we just don't have another orphanage to help, and then I'm like, all right, where do we go? It's good to have that kind of resiliency to actually kind of be in several places. So if something goes bad somewhere, you can let that drop. You can cultivate wherever you think is the most fertile place for you to do good with what funds you have. So in Lviv, I saw something that's coming up to Thanksgiving, and someone was saying that they're doing a gift run for an orphanage. So I asked the head guy, see if we can put some money in, and I'll go to Lviv, see what's going on with that. So that's what I did. I helped with the gift wrapping. We put in $200 for that gift wrapping. I think all the kids got everything that they needed. Well, everything within reason. Some of them wanted Bluetooth audio stuff, or all right, sorry, but everyone got some presents and toys. But then also I got into contact with some Ukrainians that are in charge of orphanages in Lviv. I got to speak with them and I got to check out one of their facilities. You probably saw a short video, one of my shorts with the Russian candy. If you don't know what Russian is was the former president. He was also the Willy Wonka of Ukraine. So some volunteer group brought in, I'd say probably, geez, it was four deep, five high, probably 15 across. Someone do the math there. It was a shit ton of candy. Someone brought a shit ton of candy to Orphans. I bring a bag, all right? I bring a bag. I always bring like a bag of candy with me. And the kids, they hoard, they're like squirrels. They'll hide it for the rest of the season. But I'm sure we're going to get them fruit next time. But yeah, I don't bring them that much candy. I was like, God damn. And of course, the director told me, he was like, yeah, they just show up and they bring us, easy picture taking stuff. And that's what I talked about this video, just off tangent, or not off tangent, but just one of the volunteer topics is just, getting the candy or like in your hand in the cookie jar. I don't know how to phrase it. My close friends would know when I mean that, like, get your candy. It's like, it's getting that thing that it just hits the right spot. So like in volunteering in Ukraine, what I do a lot of the time for the military is not glamorous. It's not fancy. It's not sexy. It's not high tech. It's very simple, very mundane, very boring. And so does that get donations? How many donations do we get? I mean, drones get a lot of donations. A lot of people can start drones. I bet if I went real hard on my drones, I could probably get a lot more donations. But here's the thing. I've watched guys who make way better drones than me, who have way more knowledge. And if you just gave me your money, I'd be like, well, guess what? Here, bro, take it. Here's funds from me, for you guys. You keep doing awesome stuff because you're far more efficient at getting the resources, doing it better than me. And then, just they're like 5 steps always ahead of me. Every time I catch up and I leave for a bit and I come back, see what they're up to, I'm like, God damn it. So, but yeah, it's staples, it's metalworking. And then to me, that's the really great thing, is that it's very like bang for buck. It's amazing what we can do with such little donations. From your guys' donations, obviously at the beginning, when Matt gave me the big shout out, I received close to 5. I finally went through all the numbers. It's been 4 months now, so I can kind of be more confident in my monthly income for donations now. Big time, first time, it was like $5,000. I was like, oh my gosh. But then I knew, I was like, all right, this is probably just the one-off big hit. And then the following month, it was around 2,000. Next month, around 2,000, a little more or a little less. And then last month, it was, a little over 2,000. So I think I'm steadily at 2,000, which is fine. More, I can do more. I mean, trust me, guys. If I was ending up with 3 to 4, I have projects in mind. But the problem is just, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew and then, offer people things that I can't, follow through with. But yeah, staples. I mean, we're feeding the forge right now. We're feeding the forge. The forge is going pretty damn good. But like I said, going back to picture taking and all this sort of stuff, the candy. So yeah, bringing candy to an orphanage is just a real easy hit. It's like an easy dopamine high that you, as a person who donates, you're like, yes, I helped kids. I made the kids happy. It's just an easy grab. It's easy. It's like saving puppies at the war front. All right, saving puppies on zero line. Yes, it's going to get a lot of people wet. Sorry to say, that's the sort of thing. It's like, all right, yeah, people love it. People gush on it. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I love it. I love saving the kids. I love saving the babushkas. That's what gets you the money. Helping a hairy, squat, middle-aged man work in a village in Staples, that's not much of a picture pleaser for a lot of people, and it doesn't really get them to dig deep into their wallets to help with donations. But what we do is really vital for the war effort. So I just kind of laugh at that. So yeah, that was one of the issues, was basically they said, yeah, they just showed up, they took a picture, they shook our hands, and then they left. So, I don't know who they were. I don't know if they were foreigners or Ukrainians. I've seen it from both sides. Ukrainians do it too. Maybe I'll talk a little about my first humanitarian run. I wouldn't say it was like malicious or bad, but I remember when I first got into Ukraine and I had my van, my first goal was, all right, let's use it for humanitarian work. Let's start delivering goods to where they need to go. What are we doing? And, we spent like 2 weeks planning and all this stuff, and we got a request for like 500 t-shirts for the military. So I went to like a bunch of secondhand stores and bought a bunch of t-shirts out of my own pocket. And then we loaded up on, she raised funds too for like produce, food items. And this is during the counteroffensive. So my van was full of fucking pickles, watermelon, t-shirts, some just the randomest of stuff. The only combat supplies things I would say were the staples. I had staples in my van. I had like probably 800 staples in my van. They were heavy, but that's, I make that in a day now. But so yeah, we drove from Zarkarpathia to Zaporizhia city. That was a 16-hour drive. We did the run. We dropped off the goods. It was a bit of a whole day sort of thing because it was like 4 hours in total delivering. We had like 2 drop points we did. One of them was actually really interesting. It was like a sniper unit. So I got to go into their little lodge and, help them out, talk to them a little. None of them spoke English though. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. But nonetheless, it was like, all right, we just drove 18 hours with a van, which I drove. And I was like, I did and we got to drive back too. So I was like, shit, 32 hours driving. I was doing the math. I was like, dude, that was like $500, $500 gas right there. And we got a lot of likes. She raised a good amount of funds or all that stuff. And like, yeah, we got the guys food. The guys got sallow. If you ever want to see a Ukrainian smile, give them some sallow, man. They freaking love that stuff. But, I thought about it. I was like, all right, Ben, was that worth it? Like, is that a good use of my time? And then especially once I found out about Nova Poshta, and I was like, the fuck we do? Why did I drive 32 hours when there's Nova Poshta? Yes, the soldiers might not get watermelon, but shit, we can send other stuff. That money could be used to buy other things. That was $500 on gas, and I could have spent it somewhere else. So resource allocation, it looks nice. It looks nice when you get these pictures, when you have a bunch of supplies and you get to, shake hands with people and you're right there with a big stack of stuff. And that's what happened pretty much. That's what the guy said. He said, yeah, they showed up, dropped off their thing, shook their hand and left. So, that's kind of the business, I hate to say. There is a business. There's definitely a business side to NGO work. More of a tangent. The Moldova NGO, I'll talk about later in another video. But for this one, I'll try to keep it relatively short because about the orphanage, what happened there, and also about resource allocation. So luckily, I'm too small. I'm pretty sure he hasn't seen this, the guy I'm working with. And also for you guys, I know people have asked me, like, oh, I want to help that orphanage. I want to help the orphans. I know just two sides. One side, like I said, my YouTube channel, I'm doing this for you guys. So you give donations, I give you content, I build trust with you, you give me donations, and I put that towards the military. So I help the military win this war. I love orphans, I love kids, but this money is going for the war effort. I would like to help kids. Trust me, I really do. But I'm not going to start reallocating my resources from my YouTube income to this other project. The guy in the U.S. side, he does a great job raising funds. So, that's on him. He's doing that. It's kind of, I don't want to be like Mr. Business Shark Man, but it's like, all right, these funds are needed for the Forge and for future projects that I have in mind for the military. But I would like down the line to do more stuff if if the funds allow me to. But then, all right, so that's the one hand. Funding wise, splitting my resources up, because I don't want to be dishonest to you guys and say, yeah, it's going to kids, but actually it's going towards buying military supplies or stuff to build military supplies. But the second hand is also, it's a new relationship. I'm very cautious when it comes to this. Obviously, I am in Ukraine. That's a given. I don't think I need to say too much. Starting new relations in Ukraine, especially after this far into the war, this long into this whole situation, you've got to understand, people lie, people steal, people cheat, people are incompetent. I think people just forget how bad incompetency could just be at sometimes. So this is a new relation. I'm not too confident. People are good salesmen. I've lived long enough as a bartender of just interacting with people and just knowing that people could be really good at just bullshitting, really good at bullshitters. There are some really good bullshitters out there, and that doesn't mean you are a bullshitter if you're watching this video. It just means that, we need to build that relation. You need to build that relation. So I'm picking some projects. I'll show you guys. There's some videos of some stuff. They had some stuff done. They worked on some things, and some other people were supposed to do some stuff, but they fell through. So I'm going to see about us picking up where other people failed to, hold their end of the bargain. We got to see financing, see if that's in. And then, of course, there's some other stuff too. But like I said, these are things that we build up. And last thing I want to do is like tell you guys about some great thing, and then I end up finding out that, the guy took all the money and ran. And then, egg on my face. And then that completely ruins my credibility for future donations with future cooperations with other projects. So I always want to make sure I know who I'm working with, and that, this is a trustworthy endeavor, that, your guys' money is actually getting put to the right places. And then some other stuff too. There was an interesting point. There was a point I saw someone comment, and he did make the point. It's like, well, it's just going to get bombed. Why replace the windows if it's going to get bombed again? And on one point, there is a point to that where there is some stuff they're asking. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to turn it into this. We're going to turn it into that. And I was like, oh, this is all super cool. And this would be great if there wasn't a war. Because in some sense, I was kind of like, oh man, these guys are like going for like really modern. And I don't know if I've been in Ukraine too long, because sometimes now I'm like, well, why don't we just go for the cheaper solution? I mean, that's where my brain's at sometimes. And sometimes I fault Ukrainians all the time for being way too cheap, for not being like, dude, just like one guy I helped out with, and he was like, he's just using like giant plier cutters. And I was like, dude, why don't we just get an angle grinder and just bzz down all these guys? And he's like, no, we don't need to waste money on angle grinders, on the thing. I was like, dude, I'll buy them. They're like 40 hryvnia for like a pack of 5. What? Well, I have no issue spending that sort of money. But, when I was looking at what they have estimates for certain things, I was like, oh man, you guys are trying to get all this done. I mean, it looks nice, obviously, for an orphanage. It's super modern. I mean, that would be the Ukraine I would want to have in the future. That's the Ukraine I would love for Ukraine to be. It's something that is definitely worth fighting for. But yeah, resource allocation. So we're going to pick some projects, see what we can help them out with. They also have some educational stuff, helping out with kids. And that's another video, thinking about, kids, education, doing stuff like that. That's something. It was a nice trip, Lviv. I had a lot of thinking. I did a lot of thinking, and I've definitely noticed I've hit my older age now, because my thoughts are usually more, I don't know, I wouldn't say mature, but thinking about higher up ideas more times now. It's no longer thinking about stupid, simple stuff like problem solving wise. It's more of like, all right, how can we achieve this at a higher level? Like, is this actually helping? Is this not helping? Is this a status quo thing we're doing? That's a whole other video. So going back to Lviv, volunteering there. Also for you guys, if you're still sticking around, if you have not been to Ukraine, you want to come to Ukraine and do volunteer work, and you don't have any connections, you're just going to show up, go to freaking Lviv, all right? Twice in the past month, I got message from people. One of my friends, she messaged me and said, hey, I have a guy, he's going to Ukraine, can you point him in the right directions and show him some good stuff to do? Maybe come to your forge. I said, sure. I'm out of town. So I was like, hey, I'm out of town. And he said, where are you going? I was like, oh, I'm going to Kyiv. I'm going to see what's going on in Kyiv. Everyone goes to Kyiv. Do not go to Kyiv. All right. If you want to be a tourist, go to Kyiv. Fine. Go ahead. Go to Kyiv. It's nice. You'll get to hear bombs. That's for damn sure. You'll get to experience some bombings. But if you want to do actual volunteer stuff, if you want to get into the volunteer network, the volunteer world, and you don't have any prior connections, you're just showing up straight off the train, go to Lviv, please. So that happened twice. I had two older guys. They asked me, they both were in Kyiv, and they kind of were like, yeah, I guess I'm going to be a little bit of a, tourist. You're going to be a tourist. That's what's going to end up happening. You're going to be a tourist for a week. There's nothing wrong. If you want to go to Kyiv and be a tourist, go ahead, go to Kyiv and be a tourist. But if you want to come to Ukraine to do volunteer work, and you don't have anything planned or anything like that, you're just showing up off the train, or if you don't have any prior experience, you don't want to know where to put your skills to use, go to Lviv. There's an International Volunteer Center in Lviv. They will help you find stuff. There is just a community of volunteers. They're expats now. They live there. This is their life. This is what they do. You can do a lot of cool things. It might start small. It allows you to go as far as you want to go, man. But if you want to get your foot in the door and you want to start somewhere, I'd say go to Lviv. I loved it. I mean, to me, that's my vacation. So it was a bit of also a vacation. you know, going to Lviv. It is my favorite city in Ukraine. I love Vinnytsia. Vinnytsia is my hometown. I quite like walking around these streets here, moving around here. But Lviv is like, oh man, that city. Oof. Downtown is just magnificent. Everything's so nice. It's a bit of a touristy spot, but yeah, the architecture, the food, the people are really nice. I know it was so nice being there. I had the meeting with the one head of the orphanage, and he had his translator. I had my translator. Most of the time, everyone was just speaking Ukrainian. Sometimes I needed stuff translated. But here's the thing. I understood so much of what he was saying because he was speaking pure Ukrainian. It was like, at one point I said, guys, I have to say it's so nice to just not struggle in trying to understand. Obviously, I didn't fully understand, but it just flowed better. Everything was just flowing better. It's so much better. And then when I got back to Phoenix, I was kind of like, oh, God damn it. So it was really nice. It was really nice. Yeah, that city, I love that city, man. And honestly, like, yeah, if you're afraid of stuff, obviously Lviv has been bombed. There's still the chance. I think my Airbnb was right next door to where the most recent bombing was, and that was a real tragedy. That was a real sad story that came out of that bombing. But I mean, it's one of the more safer cities you can be in right now. So yeah, Lviv, beautiful city. Please go there. Do some volunteer stuff there. It's great. You can do it like volunteer and tourism at the same time. You know, you can have your cake and eat it too. So what's going on now? I'm back in my hometown, and I hate to say, guys, things aren't going too great. Not bad, but not great. So while I was in Lviv, I had to go to the ER. I thought I had food poisoning. I thought, you know, you eat some somewhat exotic stuff here. I wouldn't say it's too exotic, but I think I ended up probably eating shashlik that wasn't fully cooked. And I was like, all right, I'll just write it out, you know, take it easy, drink water, do whatever. But then like after 4 days, basically something did not feel right. And then I realized I needed to go see a doctor right away. So I went to a doctor late at night. That was a fun experience. Finally got to go in a Ukrainian ambulance, see what an ambulance looks like in Lviv. And then went to, you know, their ER system, you know, sat there by myself in like the waiting. I think there was only like 2 other people that showed up that night. That was kind of nice. It wasn't like a crazy US system where you have like all these random stories coming of all these different things. There was only like one guy in a drunk tank, you know. So yeah, they did some blood tests immediately. They did some other tests. I think they got an ultrasound done and an x-ray all there, you know, that same night. And then basically said, yeah, we don't see anything wrong with you. And that's what worries me, is when they don't find the problem. That's the problem. When you can't find the problem, that's a problem. So I ended up, you know, just left. And here's the crazy thing, guys. That was no bill. For an American that showed up with an ID, I was not a John Doe. I didn't show up with no ID or nothing. They knew who I was and everything. I had no bill. I just left. And they were fine. I was like, all right, this is freaking amazing. I had to take an ambulance once in the US, like 4 blocks. I think the bill was like $2,000. It was the most expensive Uber drive I've ever had in my life. That's how I phrase that one. But yeah, so that was not good. I was still able to get all my meetings done. You know, I was able to kind of just take on a, you know, focused mindset and just drive through and get whatever I needed done, just chill in the house. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go out and drink as many Piano Vishnas as I wanted to, but you know, that's life. So yeah, got back on the train, back to Vinnytsia, started setting up doctor's appointments here, already had a couple. And then the next big thing happened was the day after I got back and I was gonna drive to my first appointment, got in my car and car problems. That sucker is not working. I'm in my dirty outfit right now. I just went underneath the vehicle to see if I could find if there was any more saboteur dogs that chewed up any cables underneath. That is a no-go. I'm going to need to find someone to fix my vehicle. So yeah, body problems, car problems, electricity problems. I think I got power for another 30 minutes. So that's why I'm making this now. You know, I was going to wait a little later. I was like, I got to do this now. If you don't do it now, then you're going to have another blackout for 2 hours or so. So blackouts are sucking. It's getting a little cold here, guys. But overall, I hate to say, when things start getting shittier, I start doing better. There's a little personal thing for me. Like, I'm not like a guy who loves to suck. I'm not like bit of a masochist, I guess. You have to be. I think that's life's better if you're a bit of a masochist. But yeah, I seem to do better when I'm under stress or some stress, not fuck tons of stress. But yeah, I seem to do better because yeah, when everything's fine and everything's good, I get lackadaisical. I get, I get off the ball. I'm not as focused. But yeah, right now, yeah, I got lots of challenges. I got a lot of stuff to do. I just try to chop it up into smaller bits and work through it each day. So unfortunately, right now, that is kind of delaying some of my projects. I can't go to the forge right now. I need to figure out what's wrong with me. That's the top priority. Working on my website, I'm still doing that. Working on drones, I can still do that, but unfortunately, I say I'm a bit lightheaded. I've been lightheaded, get nauseous sometimes. It's not too much pain. It's just there's just a presence of uncomfortableness right now, pretty much. So it's been prolonged. So it's not looking good in that sense. But I have another doctor appointment tomorrow. They're gonna check some more stuff out. And I'd say the last thing here, well, in Ukraine, I've not made money in Ukraine. I've not built up like financial capital. I've built up a shit ton of social capital in Ukraine. That's one thing I really do like about Ukraine. If you're coming here to do volunteer work, people really appreciate it. And like you're really doing, I mean, I don't want to be like, if you're just, in the community, you're in the volunteer at the foreign community and you just do your own thing. I got so many Ukrainian friends I could call on to solve problems. Definitely solve problems. I'm going to do that next. Well, after this video, I'm going to call my buddy for the vehicle and I'm going to have one of my friends come over and help me, So it's nice. That does work really well. That's also why I like Venezia, because I've built up a lot of social capital here. A lot of people know me and I know a lot of people in a lot of different fields. So if something happens, I can call them up and I can help solve some problems. So I think that's going to be it for Florida Man. Yeah, busy. A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I'm going to keep trying to make everything work out. Hopefully I'll get everything balanced. That's a problem. I just don't feel balanced right now. Once I feel balanced again, get going, I'll share with you guys what's coming up next for Florida Man. All right? So, Florida Man out.